The winter of 1944 fell upon Europe like a silent curse. Snow covered the broken fields, villages burned in the distance, and the echo of artillery rolled endlessly across the horizon. In those cruel months, the world was divided between the ones fighting to survive and the ones who had already lost everything. Among those trapped between the jaws of war were three women, Clara, Anna, and Lise, allied medical aides who never imagined that their courage would lead them straight into the darkest corners of humanity. Their capture happened on a night of blinding smoke and chaos. They were tending to wounded soldiers in a makeshift field hospital near the forest when enemy forces stormed through with terrifying speed. Clara tried to hide the bandages and supplies. Anna attempted to shield the wounded, and Lise held her trembling breath behind a fallen beam. But war shows no mercy. They were dragged out, searched, bound, and thrown into the cold, metal-lined back of a transport truck. Snowflakes landed on their faces as the truck roared away, each flake melting like a tiny farewell to the world they knew. Their destination was a secret prison camp that did not appear on any map. It lay hidden deep in the mountains, a place where the wind carried no sound of life and the sky seemed permanently gray. When the gates opened, they felt as if they had stepped into a nightmare sculpted from stone, smoke, and suffering. Guards with blank expressions shoved them into a registration hall where prisoners stood like silent ghosts, their faces hollow, eyes drained of hope. Inside the camp, every day felt like an eternity. Clara, once full of warmth and courage, was assigned to carry heavy crates of medical scrap through icy corridors. Her fingers often bled, but she kept moving, refusing to let her spirit crumble. Anna, gentle and soft-spoken, was pushed into grueling laundry work where steam burned her skin and frost bit her bones. Lise, the smallest of them, was forced into the cold storage cellars, stacking supplies until her legs shook beneath her. None of them were allowed to speak. Any whisper could be punished. Any hesitation could be punished. Even breathing felt like an offense. Nights were the worst. They slept in a dim barrack where the walls sweated moisture and the wind cut through broken gaps. They huddled together for warmth, their hands trembling as they whispered small fragments of who they once were, tiny reminders that they were still human. Clara often told them stories of her village, how spring brought fields of yellow flowers. Anna described her younger brother, who waited for her return. Lise spoke of the ocean she had seen only once, but dreamt of every night. These memories were their only shield against the crushing reality around them. Days bled into weeks, weeks into months. The camp's routines became a slow suffocation. The guards pushed them harder, punished them for the smallest mistakes, and fed them barely enough to survive. Their clothes grew thin, their cheeks hollowed, and their hands shook constantly from cold and exhaustion. Still, they endured. Still, they refused to let the darkness consume them. One night, a storm rattled the mountains. The wind howled like a wounded beast. Lightning cracked across the sky, and for the first time, Clara saw fear in the guards' eyes. Something was different. Something was coming. The prisoners whispered of distant Allied troops moving closer, of battles that shook the earth miles away. Hope, faint and trembling, began to seep into the camp like a fragile sunrise. But hope in wartime is always dangerous. The guards tightened their grip. Work became harsher. Punishments became crueler. They wanted to break every remaining spirit before the world outside changed. Clara collapsed one evening after carrying crates for hours. Anna rushed to help her, but was shoved away. Lise cried softly, but tears were forbidden. Clara forced herself up again, whispering through cracked lips, "I'm still here. I'm not done." Then came the night that changed everything. Distant explosions echoed from the valley. The ground trembled. Searchlights flickered. Panic spread among the guards. Soldiers ran across the yard, shouting orders. Prisoners stared from their barracks, hearts pounding with a mixture of fear and desperate hope. The chaos grew until the air felt electric. A blast shook the western gate. The guards scrambled, some fleeing, others shouting meaningless commands. Clara pulled Anna and Lise close, their hands tightly interlocked as if letting go would tear their souls apart. Moments later, the northern fence collapsed under another explosion. A group of Allied soldiers stormed through the smoke, their uniforms barely visible in the stormy darkness. "Down, get down," voices shouted. Prisoners dropped to the ground, trembling as gunfire cracked through the frozen night. Clara shielded Lise with her arm. Anna clung to them both as the world around them roared with chaos and liberation. Minutes felt like hours until finally, silence fell heavy, unreal, breathtaking. A soldier approached, his voice shaking as he called out, "You're safe now. You're safe." Clara lifted her head. Anna began to cry. Lise let out a breath she had been holding for months. They were helped out of the barracks, wrapped in blankets, and guided toward the open gates, the same gates that had once swallowed them in darkness now glimmering, with a faint promise of freedom. As they stepped outside, the storm began to settle. Snow drifted softly around them. The sky, once gray and merciless, slowly opened to reveal hints of dawn. Clara looked back at the camp one last time. It stood silent, cold, and defeated. The place that tried to break them had failed. They were wounded. They were changed forever. Their bodies carried scars, their hearts carried heavier ones, but they had survived. The world outside waited for them, uncertain but filled with possibilities. And as they walked toward the rescue trucks, supporting one another, they realized that even in the darkest corners of war, humanity could still rise fragile, trembling, but undefeated. Their story would one day be told, not as a tale of suffering, but as a testament to endurance, courage, and the unbreakable spirit of those who refused to surrender to cruelty. And in the long, echoing silence of early morning, the mountains finally breathed again.